If you have any type of creative business, whether you're a graphic designer, a photographer, an illustrator, an artist, or even a copywriter or an email writer or an email copywriter, or a launch copywriter, basically any type of business where you need to showcase past projects, then the Squarespace Portfolio feature will come in handy. And in today's tutorial, I want to show you how you can use it and how you can create a beautiful portfolio with Squarespace. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ana Lea. I am the owner and designer behind Lea Design Studio. And here on this channel, I share tech and design tips to help you work smarter and not harder. So if that is something that interests you, hit that subscribe button. And now let's dive into the tutorial. So to add a portfolio to your website, you're going to log into your Squarespace website and then you're going to click on Pages. And then you can either create it directly in your main navigation area by clicking the plus sign, or you can start at the not linked section by clicking the plus sign. I recommend you start in the not linked section because this will make it easier to work on the portfolio and get everything set up the way you want it. And then once you're ready to actually display it on your website, you can easily move it from the not linked section over to the linked section. But for right now, as you're just starting to add projects to it and configuring it, I recommend you add it to the not linked section. So that's what I'm going to do. And once I click the plus sign, I'm going to click on portfolio. And this will allow me to basically choose the layout for the portfolio that I want to use. As you can see, Squarespace offers several pre-made layouts. You can pick any of these layouts, it doesn't matter because you can change the layout of your portfolio later on. So for right now, I'm just going to click this one and this will create a portfolio in my website. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're probably going to want to rename this page to be representative of the work that you're going to display in there. And not to mention the portfolio 2 is not really an SEO friendly title for your portfolio. So the way you do that is by clicking on the page itself or on the collection itself and then hovering over it and then clicking this cogwheel icon. This will bring you to the page settings or the settings for that particular page where you can change the page title, the navigation title, and the URL slug. So I'm just going to delete this number 2 and leave mine as portfolio. And I'm going to update it in the page title, the navigation title, and the URL slug. And then under SEO, you probably want to add a 1-sentence description of what kind of portfolio it is, what kind of projects they can expect to find here, and maybe even add an SEO optimized title such as design portfolio, graphic design portfolio, or web design portfolio, or copywriting portfolio or something like that, or photography gallery, or maternity sessions gallery, or engagement sessions gallery, or whatever it is that you do in your business that requires you to have a portfolio. I would put that as the SEO title. So I'm going to name mine web design portfolio. And then for the description, I'm going to add a sentence such as a collection of my favorite website and brand design projects built on the Squarespace platform. Under social image is basically where you can upload an image that is going to show up when somebody shares your portfolio page on social media. So on places like Facebook, LinkedIn, X, what have you. Usually they will pull your social sharing image that you uploaded in your site settings, or usually they will upload the image that you share here. But if you don't upload an image here, then they will use your social sharing logo or site logo in place of that. So if you want to have a nice image for your portfolio, highly recommend you upload one here. And then under advanced is where you can add header code injection. If you need to insert any type of script on that specific page, this is where you would add a code. So for example, if you're running ads for your portfolio page for some reason, then you could add the Facebook ads code on that page itself. Or if you want to display a pop-up that shows up when somebody is about to leave and you want to give them an incentive such as 10% discount on your services or something like that, you could add that code into that specific section for that specific page into this page code header code injection. Basically anything that requires you to add code into the header area of one specific page, this is where you will do that. And then once you're done customizing all of these settings, click on Save. And that is the basics of getting your portfolio set up. Now, that's not all, because now I want to cover how you can actually customize this page, and then we're going to get into actually adding projects to your portfolio. So the way you customize a portfolio page in Squarespace is by clicking Edit, as with any other page. So the bulk of this page is the projects sections, which has its own settings. And if we click on Edit section, then you can switch the layout. So there are several different layouts that Squarespace offers. This is the grid layout. Then we have the follow cursor layout. So if we switch to the hollow cursor, you can see that as I move the cursor around the screen, it hovers with the project photo. Then if we switch it to hover fixed, that will basically show an image in the middle of your screen as people hover over the project titles. Then we have the hover background, which when I select that one, then you can see that the background for that section changes as I hover on different project titles. And then we have grid overlay, which just presents the photos, and then when you hover over them, it shows the project title. So I'm going to change it to grid overlay because I like that layout. And then other options that you have on this website, you can change the width of the section to be either full or inset. You can also control the height of this section, so it can be small, medium, or large. Or you can enter a custom height by clicking custom and then setting your own height by dragging this slider. I'm going to leave it as large. You can also control how many columns show up. So you can have 3, 2, or even 4, depending on how you want to present your projects and how many projects you want to present. And you can also control the horizontal and vertical spacing between each individual project like this. You can control the aspect ratio of the images. You can change where the text is placed when you hover over it. And you can choose whether you want the text to show before hover or after hover. So if we switch it to before hover, then when you hover, the image will show up like that. And then you can also change the overlay opacity. You can upload a background image for this section. You can also use a video background if you prefer. And you can also use one of the art options that Squarespace offers. And of course, you can change the color of the section using any of the pre-made color themes that you have in your palette. So if I change this to a light color theme that I have in my palette, then the whole background of the portfolio will update accordingly. And this will also update the hover color over the project. So if I change it to bright, then the color overlay changes as well. You can customize this by clicking on the individual theme that you have on your website. And if you click on one of the projects, then this will bring up the settings for the image overlay on hover, and you can change the color to a brighter color. So if you change it to any of the lighter colors, now the overlay color will be light. So you can customize this if you want so that it's different than the section itself. And those are the settings that are available to you within the portfolio. One more thing that I want to mention is that if you wanted to customize the fonts that are in your portfolio, so if you want them to be something different than what is currently available on your site, you can do that by clicking into Site Styles and then going to Fonts, Assign Styles, and then scrolling down until you see the portfolio layouts. And in this case, we need portfolio grid overlay because that's the layout we're using. And then what you can customize here is you can change the title to use either a heading font, paragraph font, or a miscellaneous font. So whatever fonts you have assigned for paragraphs, headings, or miscellaneous items. Or you can choose a completely different font by clicking custom and then choosing a different font. So if we click browse all fonts, you can change it to maybe Adele Sans or whatever font you want to use. You can then customize the weight and the style of the font, the line height, the letter spacing, and all the other settings that you would have for customizing font options. And you can also customize the pagination font in the portfolio item. So if we click on that, you have the same options. You can change it to be either the paragraph font, the heading font, or a miscellaneous font, or of course custom, and then you can choose a different font, maybe the same one that you chose for the title, or maybe you want to choose a different one and you can browse through fonts to find something different for your portfolio projects. Beyond that, you can add sections to this page. So you can add sections at the top. You can add an intro section, an about section, a testimonial section, whatever you want to make this page truly your own. So what I like to usually do is I would add something like an intro section at the top, like so, and then maybe I would also add a testimonial section below the items. So something like this. And then at the end, I would add a call to action that invites them to book a call or to contact me. So we could add a contact section like that. We can click on contact and then say something like this, perhaps, and then say want to have a website like that or want to have an engagement session like that. Basically give them an option to contact you right then and there. You can also move these sections up and down so you can completely rearrange the page however you'd like. And those are the options that you have for customizing the entirety of this portfolio page as a whole. So now let's talk about actually adding projects to your portfolio. So since portfolio is essentially a collection page, then whenever somebody clicks into one of your portfolios or into one of your projects, they will be able to see all the details about the project, and then they can easily scroll down to click that pagination and see other projects that you have in your portfolio. But how do you actually add these portfolio projects? Well, if you click on portfolio and then click the plus sign, this will allow you to add a project. And similarly to the portfolio page, there are several layouts for you to choose from. Or if you don't like any of these layouts, you can of course start from scratch. And the way the project pages work is they work similarly to all the other pages on Squarespace. So you can add as many sections as you want. The only thing that is special about these pages is they use gallery layouts to actually present your work in a visual way. So let's say we like this layout and I'm going to add that for our new project. And again, you'll want to customize this title and name it with the actual project title. So we could say custom brand and web design for client name. And then under SEO, you want to make sure to add an SEO title and a description of that project, and similarly upload a social image that will show up when somebody shares that project on social media. So for right now, I'm not going to go too much in depth into that. I'm just going to click save. And then to edit this page, you can click on edit. And then as you can see, we have several options here. So you can add sections to the page, as many as you'd like. Again, all the sections that are available to you when you're building out a regular page, you can add them to the portfolio projects here. You can duplicate the sections. All the section options are available to you, so you can customize the design, the background of each section, and the colors of each section, like you can with any other section within Squarespace. You can save the sections for later use in other projects, and you can of course move sections up and down to better rearrange them on the page. And then for this gallery section, you can click on Edit Gallery, and then you would need to upload the images that would go into your portfolio. So right now I'm just going to search images that I already have in the library. So I'm just going to add these 3 images like that, maybe this one as well. I'm going to delete this stock image. And then for each image, you can add a brief description. So maybe this is a maternity photo shoot, or maybe this is, I don't know, custom logo or custom graphics design or custom artwork for a specific business or a specific project. And you can also link to that project live on internet. So if you've done work for a client, you could link to their website right here. And Then you can also choose the layout for the gallery type. So you can have simple, you can also have strips like that, masonry, slideshow, a full slideshow. So this one takes up the entire width of the section. And then we have the reel, which essentially shows up as a strip like this. And you can control the width of each layout, the height, whether or not you want to show the adjacent projects. And you can also control where do you want these arrows that show, basically, that allow people to navigate to projects, where do you want them to show up. There are several options for that. You can choose whether or not you want to crop the projects, which will only display one at a time, like that. You can choose to enable captions for each project. And again, you can add a divider to this section as well. You can also add more galleries. So if you click on Add Section, and then if you select Images, you can add more galleries to it. So you could add, for example, you could add a slideshow like this. So maybe you have multiple photos that you want to present. You can add multiple galleries to here, to this project page. You can remove sections. You can shuffle them up and down the page, and essentially style this however you want. And then once you're done putting the project together, click Save, and this will essentially immediately publish the project to your portfolio. So there is no drafts option like there is with the blog collections. As soon as you create a project, it will immediately be published. If you like the layout that you've created for your project, what you can do is you can click the three dots, then click Settings, and then duplicate this, and this will create an exact copy of that section. So if we click Confirm, this will create a copy that's, again, immediately published. And then all you have to do is come in here, and then under Project Settings, you probably want to update the title, the URL slug, and the SEO settings and the social image. And then you can come in here and click on Edit to edit the contents of the page. But that's a nice way to save time and to speed up the process of adding projects to your portfolio. And now you know how to build a gorgeous portfolio using Squarespace. But if you want to save some time on building that portfolio, I do have a premium Squarespace Portfolio template built exclusively for photographers and other creatives who need the portfolio feature. I will leave a link to it in the description below. And if you want to learn more about Squarespace, then I suggest you watch this video next. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in and for watching, and I'll see you next time.